Cindy Butts,
Here.
Wendy Clark,
I'm here.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Here.
Claudio Gualteri.
Yeah, I just bless Jesse and I pray all these things in Jesus' name.
Okay, sorry about that. Commissioner Mascara Bruno, Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Agalde.
Here.
We do have a quorum in attendance for the meeting.
Okay, but Lisa and Sayla and Nandini are the three that I don't have, right?
And Claudio.
And Claudio's not?
Yeah.
Okay. Not yet, anyway.
Or not yet.
Okay.
Anyways, right.
All right. Well, let's start the meeting. The first item on our agenda is the resolution regarding financing of the Camelot, which is located in West Hartford, and will be presented by Anne.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
You'll be sick of me by the end of this meeting, but the Camelot. The Camelot's a 4% LIHTC project, and they're seeking a total of $13.78 million in tax-exempt bond funds, 6.8 million of which is construction loan, and another 6.9% will stay. 6.9 million will stay in as a permanent loan. They've also requested $1 million in opportunity funds. The developer is a partnership between Honeycomb Real Estate Partners and Hop Meadow Development, and they are Lewis Brown and Arthur Greenblatt, who is also from Vesta Corporation. Lewis is taking the lead on the development side, and he previously worked for Vesta. Vesta will also be the property manager for this project. Cross Key Architects is the architect, and PNC Bank will be the equity investor. They both have lots of experience with these tax credit deals. The general contractor will be Incon Construction Management. It was founded by Marty Kenny and Alan Lazowski, and it's an offshoot of Lexington Properties. So they, as an entity, do not have experience with affordable housing development. They're a new contractor to CHFA, but the staff itself does have a lot of experience with LIHTC deals. As you said, the location is in West Hartford. It's on Farmington Avenue, just outside the town center. It's in a high opportunity area with a town that has less than 10% affordable housing. And the project will provide 44 units, all of which will be LIHTC eligible affordable housing. The area is surrounded by commercial and residential uses. So residents will be able to walk to grocery stores, medical facilities, daycares, playgrounds, etc. It's a good location, all within walking distance. And there are a number of bus routes that run along Farmington Avenue. There's also a Maui convenience store that is being renovated right now that is right in front of the property building. The project will use the income average income scenario so that none of the units will exceed 80%, but as an average, they will not exceed 60%. However, the West Hartford Housing Authority will be providing 15 rental subsidies, and they are requiring that 13 be set aside for residents earning less than 30% of area median income, and then the additional 2 for folks under 50% of median income. And they have a long waiting list, I'm told, for especially the 30%. The units will be a mix of 21 bedroom and 24 2-bedroom units. So the scope of work, the development team is going to gut the current 6-story hotel that's on the site for adaptive reuse into 20 of the affordable units. And then they'll demolish the adjacent restaurant, which is currently vacant and in horrible condition, to build a new 5-story addition, which will provide another 24 units for a total of the 44 that I mentioned. And there's an existing 2-story parking garage on site that will be for the use of the tenants. there will be minor repairs to that structure, but it's in pretty good condition. There will be a need for environmental remediation, including soil contamination, cleanup, and abatement of lead and asbestos, but all environmental testing has been completed and reviewed by CHFA's third-party reviewer. And DECD's brownfield program will provide the remediation funding and also oversight for the remediation. So that provides another level of comfort for us. And they have required that the property be entered into the voluntary remediation program. So there will be a lot of oversight on the work during construction and afterwards. The site work will include the demolition that I mentioned, excavation and backfill for the new addition, and then new paving and sidewalks and restoration of the exterior facade. The hotel building will be gutted. It will undergo structural repairs, new doors and windows, roof, plumbing, mechanical, you name it, and accessibility updates. And in the end, the building will have a high-speed broadband access and will be designed to lead Gold and Energy Star standards. There's going to be a community space for residents, a fitness center, laundry rooms on every other floor, and then computer rooms on the other floors, and bicycle storage. The permanent loan to value, based on our appraisal from Valbridge, will be 71%. And the market study shows that the units will be in great demand. The total development cost will be about $27 million or $615,000 per unit. We recognized, or we thought that this number seemed pretty high, so we looked at the construction side, and again, similar projects, the costs are not really that much higher. But they will need to use Davis-Bacon wages, so that might be a cost factor in there. And then we looked at non-construction issues and thought that the purchase price might be a little bit high at $91,250 per unit, but we're in a high income, high cost real estate market, and we can only get the 44 units on that property. So you know, we don't have a 100-unit project to spread the costs around to. And our financing will be only 24% of the total project costs. So they've been able to leverage other sources in the project. Other sources are the LIHTC equity, DOH is in the deal, ARPA funds from the town. I mentioned the DECD brownfields and other smaller pieces of funding. So the strengths that we see with this project are that the development will transform this underutilized and rundown space that has environmental issues into 44 units of affordable housing for 40 years with some deep income targeting. And the immediate location is favorable for residents. It's very convenient. The development's in a high opportunity area that lacks affordable housing. This will make a small dent. And the DECD brownfields funding requirements will ensure compliance with all of the environmental remediation standards. Challenges that we have, some of the soil boring testing has to be deferred until the restaurant is knocked down and demolished, which poses a bit of an unknown factor, but the mitigation is that the structural engineer is well aware and has been providing a conditions report. He doesn't expect to see any issues with fill, but we do have a large construction contingency to mitigate any need out there for additional financing. Also, as I mentioned, the general contractor is new to LIHTC, but as I also mentioned, as a mitigation, they do have a large staff, and they do have experience with LIHTC deals. A third challenge is that, as in other deals, we may have delays due to wait times and materials that we've had in the past, but we are working with the developer to try to store some long lead time items, and including the switchgear, which has been a problem with other projects up until now, so that we can decrease that wait time. And the final one is that we are still awaiting a written loan agreement from the town for the DECD brownfields funding. We do have an agreement between DECD and the town, but then it has to pass through the town to the project, and they are waiting for our commitment of funds before they will issue their terms. But the brownfield agreement itself to the town specifies that the loan must be subordinate to all other lending in the project. So we're not concerned about what we will see. And the loan, of course, closing will be subject to those acceptable loan terms. And that's about all I have for the Camelot. I'll take questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I'm not clear what's happening with the restaurant. Is the restaurant on the land that's being purchased? And is the space where the restaurant was just going to be green space, or what's happening with that?
No, so the restaurant and the hotel are on the same parcel. So the restaurant itself is in terrible condition and it will be demolished. And then they will build a new structure in the footprint, but connected to the hotel. So it will be one building. There's very little green space. The lot just doesn't accommodate much green space.
Okay, I was thinking that it was just the structure that was being reconfigured, not a new addition on the spot where the former restaurant was.
No, there'll be 24 units in that location. Yeah, and it will all be integrated, both sides kind of in an L shape.
Yeah, but the hotel only generates 20 units.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
24 new units. So this is a 0.67 acre lot.
Yeah.
And the existing building is the hotel, and then there's an L shape that comes off of it. If you can probably see in the pictures, the L shape that comes off of it is being raised, and then they're going to build 24 new units there.
Yeah.
So it's going to occupy the same footprint, but it's going to have different height and it's going to have different purpose. The restaurant's going to be gone.
Right.
Sorry about my cat.
No, never apologize.
Well, and just, I mean, again, $615,000 per unit. Every time you think it can't go higher, seriously. I mean, I just don't know how we're ever going to have affordable housing in Connecticut if this is what an actual cost of building an affordable unit is.
This
that it takes this many partners and this much contribution and this much everything in order to have affordable units.
But 44, right?
44 is good. Yeah, but it's 44 at 1 and 2 bedroom at $615,000 a unit.
Right. Yeah, I do have a question with that though. So, I mean, it's such a great opportunity for residents to be able to live there. I mean, it's right, your Blueback Square living, right? So what is how do we set priority? Like, how do people qualify and, earn the right to live there? They're great new units at that point.
Yeah, because there's going to be such a demand for it.
Right.
I know that the 15 for the Housing Authority will be, coming from their list.
How do you get off the list? That's a good question. Who's at the top of the list?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we can all live there.
No, Greg, I think you don't qualify, Greg. It's going to be after the Housing Authority. It's going to be first come, first serve, and then they'll establish a waiting list, which we see on properties like this. That's part of the reason the cost is so high on this. You're carrying a $90,000 per unit acquisition cost on top of you know, the demolition and remediation that goes in here. And
Right.
these adaptive reuse are very, you've seen over the course of the past year that the adaptive reuse is the most expensive that we have, but it also brings in the most outside sources as an offset, right? So, I mean, this is one of the best locations we've seen in a long time.
Oh, definitely agree with that.
Right, yeah, so unfortunately, when you have this, so they had to compete against market rate developers in order to
Right.
acquire this site. And and we've seen that in downtown New Haven, when there's this competition for acquisition of high-end sites like this, we're seeing some higher total development costs. We're trying to present it to you in a different way so that you can see what CHFA's contribution is. That's why we have $148,000 per unit in terms of the
Right.
loan on this.
Right.
We're going to be working over the next couple of months to present this to you in a more detailed format so that you can see where all the elements of the total development costs come from.
But I'm with Greg on the wait list. Whose wait list?
It would
I
be,
mean,
it would be,
is it the developer's wait list or
Yeah.
Chap's wait list
No, no.
or?
no, it's the developer's wait list.
Right, but they have to meet the affordable, the AMI average numbers. They can't
Right.
pick their
If you've got-
friends.
Right.
I mean, I would think they could have 40 friends that do that. Just saying.
Right. So that's my second question is I wonder what analysis went into it to determine why not just go fair market? It's such a great location, you know, you're figuring if the number's 44 units or whatever, maybe they got a little bit more density by offering up, making it so that we can make these deeper cuts for these income bands. But at the end of the day, it had to be a tough call to go through all of this. Like you said, 44 is a lot of units in one way, but at the same time, it's almost like, how do you not go fair market? I'm just curious as to what made them decide to come the affordable direction.
Yeah, Greg, in this case, I'm not sure that fair market or market rate would support this because you had so much additional demolition remediation costs. And this is what Vesta and Honeycomb do. They build affordable housing primarily with the use of LIHTC. So this is their comfort zone. They're very good at it. And with that LIHTC equity, that's I think a big impetus behind motivating people to do deals like this. It's getting harder and harder. I think you know this. It's getting harder and harder in the market rate world to find the equity that you need to close the gap between total development costs and what the lenders are providing these days. So this actually seems like the perfect fit for this parcel. The size of it, the location of it, and the cost of it, I think pretty much keeps it as a LIHTC development.
Hey, good afternoon. Sorry, I was a little late, but I was going to mention that the developer is a affordable housing developer, and they know the need that we have in the state and the affordable units that we need, and this is actually, as Pat mentioned, that the structure and the amount of work that needed to be happen for a market rate probably wasn't going to be feasible, because no matter how much you're going to charge rents, you can just go so high, right? And the amount of work that needed to be in this project is a lot.
Yeah.
I worry about the parking garage, and we've seen huge expenses when parking garages fail. And this is such a small parcel that they need the parking structure. So you said that it's minor, renovation. Do we know that it's been, and engineers have looked at it? And,
yeah, they've done a structural assessment of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everybody's comfortable.
Yeah.
The useful life is 40 years.
I think so. It's a 2-story, so it's not like it's a huge structure either. And one of it is kind of on, it kind of goes down on ground level. And so there's really only one, like a canopy where there's parking on top of that. But yeah, they did a full assessment.
How many parking spots are there? I don't think I saw it.
3, I think. So there's plenty for the 44 units.
Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Dawn, can you call the roll, please?
Of course. Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri, Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, next up on our agenda is the resolution regarding financing of Northside Terrace, which is located in Torrington. And Anne, you're up again.
I'm up again. This is a very different project, but again,
Mhm.
will provide 100% LIHTC affordable housing. So that's a good thing. So Northside Terraces, as I said, is an existing 4% LIHTC project. It's looking to restructure its current debt, renovate its buildings, add a community space, provide handicapped accessible units, and remediate some environmental issues. The developers, the community builders, and they're seeking about $12 million in tax-exempt bond financing for a $7.7 million construction portion and about $4.365 million in permanent financing. There are 92 units in 6 two-story buildings. 55 of them are currently LIHTC qualified, and the development is at the end of its extended use period. So I think it was 1996 when it first went into the LIHTC program. They have a HUD-HAP contract for 72 of the units and a HUD section 221D3, I think it is, below market Beamer rate mortgage with income and rent restrictions on all of the units. HUD has agreed to restructure their debt, release that 221 D3 set of restrictions, and provide a new 20-year HAP contract once the renovation work is completed. And using income averaging, all 92 of the units will be LIHTC eligible. It is currently almost 100% rented up. They are holding a few of the units for temporary relocation, but they took a look at and certified the current tenants, and this was the best means of ensuring that anyone who wants to stay can stay. They are all under 80% of area median income, which is good. So TCB, as I said, is the developer, but they're also the property manager, and they're the managing member of the general partnership of the ownership structure. And of course, they have other projects in the CHFA portfolio and are an existing approved management agent by CHFA. The syndicator is going to be Redstone Equity Partners, and Quisenberry, our Carrie Malik will be the architect, and they have a relocation consultant, Housing Opportunities Unlimited. Except for them, this is the same team that is undertaking the renovations of New Kensington 2 in New Haven right now. The location is a mostly residential neighborhood, but there is a commercial corridor close by. It's within walking distance. It's just north of Torrington High School, and I'm told that the kids ride their bikes to school, and there's a playground there and football field and things like that. And I saw evidence of all the bicycles out in the yard in the bike racks when I was there. Route 8 runs along the property's western border, but it's mostly single-family housing developments surrounding this development. It's a little bit remote. The downtown can only be reached by car. The bus service in Torrington is not great. You have to call for for service kind of thing, but I'm told that people do that all the time. The scope of work includes site work, regrading, landscaping, new sidewalks, paving, lighting, storm drainage, sanitary sewer line work. The roofs are going to be replaced as needed, and new porches will be installed. There will be upgrades to the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and heating systems. There is environmental remediation that needs to be done. Most of the lead and asbestos abatement has been done over the years. There's just a little bit of lead and asbestos on the exterior, I believe. But there is PCB contamination in the soils surrounding the buildings and along the materials in the doors and windows. So there is a lot of PCB remediation that has to get done. There are 10 two-level units that will be converted, reconfigured into accessible units. They're kind of taking 2 stories and converting them to flats, so that there will now be 10 units of handicap accessible units. And they tell me that there are a lot of older folks who live there now who would be eligible to move into those units and allow them to age in place a lot better than currently. As needed, the units will receive new kitchens, baths, flooring, energy appliances and fixtures, and smoke detectors. And I say as needed because some of them have already been upgraded per required upgrades along the way. And when folks have moved out, they have taken that opportunity, but there are a lot that still need a lot of work. The management office currently occupies a 2-bedroom unit, so they are going to move out, and so we will get yet another unit for the total of 92 to use as housing. And a new community center will be built, a small one, but a new one, and the management office will be located there. As I said, temporary relocation will be required, but they're going to do it on site, which is going to be much easier and less costly, I think. And they will phase the renovations to accommodate the relocation needs. The project will be about $28 million total development cost, with about $300,000 per unit. Construction costs alone will be about $128,000 per unit. And the appraisal that we commissioned provides a permanent loan to value ratio of about 64%, and total loan to development cost of about 15%. Other financing includes a whole bunch of things, project cash and reserves that are currently in the project, a seller note, deferred developer fee, energy rebates. DOH is putting both flex and National Housing Trust Fund dollars in, state housing tax credits, and of course the 4% LIHTC funds. The mortgager will assume the existing HUD-held mortgage that is being restructured, and are being required to pay a small repayment of the principal. That's all included in the financing deal. And there's other current debt on the property that will be paid off at closing or forgiven. Some of it will be forgiven. And as part of HUD's mark-to-market program, the new HAP contract, or the existing HAP contract, will be terminated, and a new one, as I said, provided for an additional 20 years. So the strengths of this project are that we will be preserving 55 current units of affordable housing, but also adding another 37 into the program with an affordability period of 40 more years. There will be 10 new handicap accessible units where we had none previously. And all of the tenants will be able to stay in the complex, and the rehab will provide greater energy efficiency and an environmentally safe housing for those people. And will address the capital needs going forward of an older development and hopefully maintain the strength of their cash flow. And then they'll have the new community building, which will be helpful. They don't have a meeting place right now, and they will free up a unit for occupancy. The challenges that I see are that the relocation can often be a tricky process. We've seen that with New Kensington too, but they, in that case, were being relocated off-site. In this case, they're really taking a lot of care, and they've switched relocation consultants to one they have worked with successfully previously. And they are going to keep folks on site. Another challenge is delays or cost overruns, unforeseen issues. We do have a 10% construction contingency and a soft cost contingency, and we think that that's adequate if anything does come up. And then the last is that the HUD debt restructure terms, although they have been approved by the regional HUD office, they're still pending final approval. But we're told that it's very unlikely that any changes would be made after recommendation from the regional office. And that's my story. If there are any questions, I'll take them.
Anybody, any questions?
His community builders, have they been involved in Torrington in the past? Like, is that theirs on the riverfront? Or
No,
no?
You're
They've
thinking
been
of
involved in.
Penrose?
Oh,
Right, you're thinking of the Penrose deal right there in.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
That's
the
it.
Penrose
Okay.
deal. Riverfront is what it's called.
oh,
Yeah, this is a nice location. Actually, it seems like it's rural, but sort of everything is in Torrington.
Right.
And this isn't bad. It's right off of Route 8 and
Mhm.
stuff. So
it's kind of a little enclave too. It's on a dead end, and people really seem to like it there. I talked to some folks when I was there, but TCB is the current property manager, and they have been for a long time on this site.
This is the poster child for preservation, right? We have 3 years left on our extended use agreement from the original ITEC.
Yep.
We have the extension of a HAP agreement for us with 72 units. We're installing new accessible apartments. I mean, I don't know if preservation gets any better than this one.
and it looks like it's occupant friendly to get through the process. They're doing it well. That's always a question that we have.
Right.
Mhm. And it took them a long time, and took us a long time to get to this point. We've been working on it for a while because there are so many
Well,
layers of financing, but also to try to, make it easier on the families there and so on.
Okay, anybody else? Any other questions? Comments? When you say that the renovations are going to be done sort of as needed, you'd hate to see, 3/4 of it done and 25% just going to be left. But it seems like all the units that haven't been renovated recently will be. I mean, I guess that would be the assurance
Yes.
that I would look for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I saw one that had previously been completed, and it was very nice.
Okay.
It was well done.
And it's well maintained.
Yes, so far, so good.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? Questions? Okay, is there a motion? I'll move it.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, Greg, thanks. I can second it. All right, Don, can you call the roll, please?
Of course. Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark. I know she had to drop at some point.
Yeah.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri, Commissioner Mascaro Bruno.
Selah.
Commissioner, I'll come back.
Okay.
Lisa Tepper Bates. Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Commissioner,
She was
she
there.
must have gotten
Yeah,
had,
she was
had
in her,
step-
she's in her car, I think.
Gotcha.
All right. I
All
think
right.
we still have enough though, right? 3?
Yeah.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you've got one more. It's the resolution regarding modified financing for Maplewood Court in Bridgeport. And I have to say, I read this and then I reread it and I'm a little confused. I know we've seen it, a bunch of times, but maybe you could explain it.
Yeah,
quick.
this is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is a request for a third extension of the maturity date of this construction-only loan. The first 2 extensions we could, the executive staff could approve. The third one needs to go to board. So I don't know if that was part of the confusion, but you're
Well,
seeing
just
it.
why do we need 3 is I guess.
Yes, okay. Well, that's a question. So the first time there were issues with the this is Connecticut Housing Partners, and there were issues with staffing the structure at the top, and there were a lot of issues going on. This particular renovation was due to, I think it was Storm Sandy, and the buildings got flooded out. And it took a long time to get to this point, but there were so many ins and outs and changes to the leadership there that they didn't get construction completed in time. The second one continued that, except that COVID, of course, was in the mix as well, and they had to wait for a number of construction items to come in, which happened just at the end of the first extension. But then they had another issue, and I'm trying to think, I'm looking for it. Oh, in post-construction, they had done testing for radon, and it required additional remediation work. Basically, they failed their radon test, and they had to do a whole lot of work and install all kinds of equipment to deal with the radon, and then had to go for retesting. So that was why we did the second extension. The third extension is what's on the table right now, is due to really nothing that the developer has done. We were heading toward a final closing, and it looked like we were going to make it by September 30th, which is the maturity date, to repay the loan and close out the project. And they found out that the federal National Park Service would not approve their federal historic credit vouchers. They're putting them on hold. They determined that the windows and on the third floor, which is quite a few, and the flooring in the public corridors did not meet historic specifications. Now, the specifications had gone through SHPO on the state level. All the work was in place and went back to SHPO. They approved and released their own tax credits, and then sent the package down to Washington, where they put it on hold. So it was a surprise to everyone that these dollars would not be released. So basically, we've got about $730,000 being held until the developer can figure out a solution to this problem. They've contacted the architect, they've contacted the investor is involved, the construction contractor, the state, and they're right now, this has just happened in the last couple of weeks, and they're right now trying to figure out an answer to the situation. One thing they're doing is seeking a bridge loan from another lender to cover those historic credit dollars. And their investor, Redstone, is amenable to dispersing the rest of their LIHTC equity that will take us out if they can get a bridge loan for that $730,000. We have 2.3 million currently available that can partially pay down the CHFA loan. So it's just this last piece of financing that is holding things up. Let's see. In the meantime, the bonds will need to be redeemed by November 30th, but we plan on paying down all but $1.4 million of the $3.8 million loan with the available cash. And then if the final closing doesn't take place by the 15th of November, the bonds can be replaced with ITA funds, which will then be replenished once we are able to close and the CHFA loan is paid in full. So that's it in a nutshell.
It's a nightmare.
It's a bit of a nightmare.
But I think the solution is at hand. This is just a matter of timing. We have almost all the funds we need outside of a small portion of the federal historic tax credit equity to be able to close this, Heidi.
That's the 700,000 some odd.
Yes,
we need this. Yeah, we need that plus a small amount, probably about the same amount that the LIHTC investor needs to release.
But couldn't they make them redo all those windows and all that flooring, and that would cost a lot more than 700,000?
yes.
Yeah.
At this point, unless NPS waves off on the windows as they are, the windows will need to be replaced, and they have a certain amount of time to do that. And I think they've approached the manufacturer to see how long it's going to take to produce the new windows and get them installed. As to the flooring is a smaller portion of it. It's actually the installation of carpet, right, Ann?
Yes, they just have to cover the flooring with carpet.
Unfortunately.
I know.
And just one other thing I want to clarify, the bond redemption date is actually November 15th. So if we don't close by then, which we're hoping to still be able to close before then. But if we cannot, then Hazim would have to redeem the bonds by November 15th.
So I'm just curious, is Sarah Bronin now in charge of that Federal Historic Preservation Group? She just got appointed to we worked with her. It'd be interesting if it was her office, we could certainly know more people than we might otherwise know.
I don't know, Greg. We'd have to look into that.
I can tell you.
Okay.
We got a message from Vincent Lake of the National Park Service. I don't know, Greg, if that rings a bell, but that's who notified the borrower of the tax credit vouchers being placed on hold.
Gotcha. That's the staff person. Yeah. Okay.
But there is some question as to whether the National Park Service is correct or not, in their opinion. So.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like you have an exit strategy. It just doesn't seem like a slam dunk, but sounds like we can get out.
And it's not like we're setting any precedent here other than we're working with a situation with the cards we've been dealt, and we have to do something to work our way through it.
Right.
Okay, so we're actually approving an extension till when?
It's a 6-month extension.
March.
But you'll let us know by November 15th because we'll have to approve an ITA bond or fine.
No, I don't think it has to be approved by board. I think Hazim just lets audit, finance and audit know that he's moving the funds. I think he does it as a courtesy.
Okay, but maybe you could let the mortgage committee know also.
I think he plans on it. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then if it doesn't get resolved in 6 months, it'll be back.
Maybe,
us.
maybe we'll have to review our options at that point if it doesn't close within the next 6 months.
Okay,
But at least we
Alright.
have some funds in house to pay it down now.
yeah,
Right.
no, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
I will tell you, I'm very confident that we'll have this resolved, if not by November 15th, shortly thereafter.
Okay, well, keep us posted.
Will do.
All right, more questions? Okay, so we have a motion to approve the extension.
Motion to approve the third extension.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I can second it.
Thanks, Sayla. Okay, Dawn,
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clerk, Heidi DeWenger,
aye.
Claudio Gualtieri, Commissioner Mosquera Bruno,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Vote passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the mortgage committee meeting of July 25th. Does anybody have any comments, changes, corrections? If not, let's do the roll, please.
Do you need a motion to approve?
Sure, yep, we do. Sorry, you're right. I'm rusty.
And I'll second. I don't know if Greg
Yep.
moved it.
Thank you, Cindy. Greg gave us the first. Okay, Dawn,
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark, Heidi DeWenger,
yes.
Claudio Gualtieri, Commissioner Mosquera Bruno,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
Thank you. The vote passes.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of reports. We have the 2023 housing tax credit contribution programs rating and ranking results. Colette.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So the HTCC program provides 10 million in tax credits for eligible nonprofits each year. And they can be used for the development of rental housing, homeownership opportunities, rehabilitation of existing projects, or to capitalize a revolving loan fund. The projects must benefit low and moderate income households, and the maximum award is 500,000 per nonprofit. Of the 10 million that is available, 1 million is set aside for workforce housing, 2 million is set aside for supportive housing, and this year, additional recaptured funds in the amount of approximately 776,000 are also available to allocate. So we had 38 applications this year requesting approximately 17.8 million in HTCCs. The applications were then rated and ranked, and we have 23 applications that will be awarded HTCCs. This will be for a total amount of 10,590,394 in awarded credits. We had one applicant apply under the workforce housing set aside, and that's Housing Development Fund. They'll be awarded funds from this set aside to continue their down payment and closing cost assistance program. And for HTCC, workforce housing is defined in our procedures, and that's affordable housing for low and moderate income wage and salaried workers in the municipalities where they work. We have 3 applicants that applied under the supportive housing set aside. However, one applicant did not meet the criteria and then was scored in the general class. 2 projects will be awarded funds from this set aside. We had 8 applications that were deemed not eligible for various reasons, including incomplete application materials, failure to demonstrate timing benchmarks, or they did not meet the criteria for gap funding requests, or failure to demonstrate nonprofit applicant participation. 6 of the projects will benefit elderly projects. 2 awardees will capitalize revolving loan funds. And we have 7 awardees that will utilize proceeds for homeownership opportunities. So historically, Eversource has been our principal investor for HTCCs, and they have expressed their willingness to purchase all the credits in 2023. And I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Okay.
Just Heidi, real quick, that was a great report. Do you think if we had unlimited funds, do you think 10 million fairly addresses the need, or do you think we could double, triple? It looks like we could do a heck of a lot more work if we had more funds, right?
We could do a heck of a lot more work.
Yeah.
Greg, I think that goes across the board, right? If we had more tax, if we had more LHTCs, if we had more bond volume cap, if we had more HTCCs, there's plenty of projects out there that need money. I'm sorry, Colin.
Yeah, no, I agree. We would have loved to have been able to fund more of these applications.
It seems almost like if you're going to get squeezed out, right? Because it's so competitive. I think it discourages many people that would like to try to get more aggressive. I think that's just the nature of dealing with it. So those that have been through it and are getting pretty good at applying and utilizing the funds sort of corner the market a little bit. And it just makes it harder to see new faces a lot of times. That's all.
Yeah, Greg, we're going to be addressing that in the off season here before the next round. We want to try to get this back more towards its traditional roots and make sure that the money's getting to the nonprofits that it was meant to assist in. So we're going to be doing hopefully a fairly significant overhaul of how the HTC funds are used in the future.
Good. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the homeownership report. Kayla?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you after the summer break. So just as a reminder, the mortgage committee report for the homeownership department is always a month behind because we meet at the end of a month. So all of the numbers herein are through August. So if we key ahead to our first mortgage report numbers. So far this year, as of August, CHFA has purchased 1,839 loans. And that is about 229 more first mortgages than we did in the entirety of 2022. So we are ahead this year compared with last year. Our portfolio remains over 95% current, and just a handful of loans have been marked for foreclosure this year. If we key forward to look at our first mortgage lender activity, we'll see that our usual suspects continue to produce the most loans for our first mortgages. So First World Mortgage, Total Mortgage Services, Homestead, Norcom, and Guaranteed Rate Inc. I did want to point out that since our production is up this year, these lenders have for the most part, doubled or a little more their volume with us. So not only are we seeing more loans, but we're seeing more loans with our top lenders. And First Mortgage really leads by a wide margin. And then
Kayla, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Can we look at our existing first mortgage portfolio to determine what potentially the much higher mortgage rates could mean? Is that something we look at or track, or?
So are you into like what the higher interest rate, the impact of higher interest rates? Is that what you're?
Well, right. Does, people who qualified and existed and there's no delinquencies, and that's great, but eventually those loans have to be refinanced, right?
Right.
So
yeah, we can definitely take a look and do an analysis for next month.
Rates have gone up so fast, and that it could have a detrimental impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so on the down payment, which is our next slide, I kind of wanted to point out here that, our DAP has been in really high demand this year. And that really gets to your point of interest rates are so high that people need the DAP to offset that, because we've more than doubled our DAP. And of course, part of that is the availability of time to own because it's such a desirable program. But that program is really necessary to help these lower income home buyers even access homeownership, especially with 7% interest rates. And so we've done just over 1,400 of these loans, of DAP loans so far this year. And once again, it's about 200 more DAP loans than we did in the previous year. Looking at our geographic distribution, this really doesn't change much quarter over quarter. So about 40% of our lending does go on in Hartford County, with New Haven and New London County making up the next two largest markets. And that's pretty standard year over year. Looking at our race and ethnicity demographic breakdown, about 52% of our borrowers through August of this year identified as minorities. And this is a slight uptick from this time last year. Taking a look at time to own, through the end of August, we've had about 2,400 reservations for this down payment assistance program. I did take a look right before I hopped on to see, where we are now, and we've added about 200 more reservations, so about 2,600 reservations under the program, with an average reservation amount of $30,500, and we've reserved over $73 million in the time to own funding. Our median income for this program is $66,558, which is significantly less than our overall lending. So we are helping lower income home buyers access this really difficult market, as well as younger home buyers. And of course, that big sticker shock on the bottom with the median sales price. The housing market right now, really continues to see high home sale prices, even going into, what is usually a slower time of the year. And so this program continues to be really important. And then lastly, I think last time we met in July, there was some questions about what type of outreach events we've been doing for the homeownership department. So here we've sort of mapped out where so far this year we've held events. We've attended over 44 in-person events, some that we've organized, some that we've participated in with others, and we've also attended an additional 6 virtual events. This year has been really busy. We already have another 5 events scheduled for October to help promote our home ownership programs. And I wanted to highlight that many of these events that we've attended have really been geared towards promoting our home ownership programs for communities of color. So one event that we attended earlier this year was a chapter meeting of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. They often work with members of their community. So we talked to them about CHFA programs and how to advocate for their clients to get the best mortgage possible, which many times is through CHFA. We attended the Black Business Expo, as well as provided a home ownership seminar at the Baptist Church of Waterbury. And then this summer, we also attended for the first time the Nepalese Festival in Branford, which is a community that we haven't engaged with previously. So we're always looking to attend new events and really broaden our outreach. So if any of you know of events that CHFA should be at that we haven't been to and you'd like to see us at, definitely reach out to us.
That's great.
I think that takes us to the end. If anyone has any questions, if I can answer them, I'm happy to.
Seems like the outreach programs are helping, and create more volume for us. So
Yeah, I think so. And just really getting the programs out there, because, and we know we talked a little bit about this at the board retreat, but something that we heard from a lot of the focus groups that we held over the summer for the strategic plan was that people just don't know about CHFA, like the average home buyer,
Right.
and they hear about us through their real estate agent or through their lender. So we've really been trying to engage with realtors and lenders, attend their events, connect with them so that they understand what CHFA is, what we can offer to their clients, and how we can sort of cross promote with one another. So that's something that we started doing and really intend to continue pretty robustly into next year.
Yeah, I have to say you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. I hear all around since I go to many events that CHFA is doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least on our agenda is the multifamily activities report. Yezi.
Hi, everyone. Just for those of you who don't know me,
Excuse me, I'm just, Haiti, I do have to leave. I have another meeting, but thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Yessie Clift. I work in the processing and reporting department. I'm a part of Seema's team, and she's asked me to go over this in her absence this month.
Great, welcome.
Thank you. As you can see on that first page, this is just a development spotlight. We have Goziski Park located in Terryville. It is owned by the Housing Authority of the town of Plymouth. It is a moderate rehab that it is going to provide 60 units of elderly housing. It is scheduled for a final closing in December of this year. And we have DOH, SSHP grant money, as well as CDBG Small Cities Funds. On our next page, this hasn't really changed significantly since the last time you guys met. There isn't a lot of movement in the last couple months, and I'll go over in detail in a couple of pages what is actually initial or final closed, but the numbers have been really steady. The one that will be changing from this month to next month will be the HTCC, because we'll start, once that is put up to board on Thursday, we'll be able to put those on in the next report, next month's report. So for news and insights, we had CHFA staff from multifamily attend the 25th anniversary Conero conference. Their staff members led a panel regarding home ownership, a workshop on SSHP funding, and in conjunction with the DOH staff, a presentation on the updated DOH manual. There was additional workshops, including cybersecurity basics, setting private rental market, base payment standards, and quite a number of other things that they were involved in. At the very end, CHFA leadership presented the annual student scholarships as well. So as you can see from our little insight here, CHFA is extremely involved in that conference. A multifamily staff member also participated in a panel discussion with students at the Yale School of the Environment on the significance of energy equity. The discussion focused on the importance of implementing energy efficient practices, enhancing resilience, and adopting renewable energy sources in affordable housing. Other panel members were representatives from Operation Fuel, NHS New Haven, and the City of New Haven. In July, we also had multifamily staff visit Las Cana Homes of Orange in order to view the construction progress of the NGBS Emerald project, which was a recent 9% awardee. It was a helpful and informative visit for staff to speak with the development team and their contractor. Discussions included the benefits of the NGBS certification to promote and advance various green building methods, construction challenges in the industry in general, and solutions utilized by the team to address those challenges. And lastly, in August, we had a multifamily staff member participate in a roundtable discussion with other New England HFA leaders of architecture and construction teams in order to assist Rhode Island Housing in their efforts to reinvent and revitalize their own construction and design standards. Various topics discussed were the QAP implications on design standards and the associated cost implications, industry-related hard cost increase, long lead items used for modular construction and those challenges, and the effectiveness of sustainable design measures in affordable multifamily housing. And there in other news, you see what Colette just went over for the 38 applications on the 2023 HTCC round. And as I mentioned, and she mentioned as well, the awards will be reported to board this month. So all of those will be included in the report for next month. And as far as closings, like I said, it's been a little bit slow. Nothing really has changed except for 2 final closings in July, which was the 540 New Park in West Hartford and McGuire Court in Wallingford. There you can see our little chart with the approval request for their 3-month look ahead. Nothing new has changed there. And our upcoming transaction this month, we put State and Chapel Development, which is located in New Haven. The developer is Beacon Communities. The scope of work is a gut rehab and new construction that will provide family housing, 16 of which will be supportive housing units and 60 affordable units. It includes a 9% LIHTC money, HTC, DOH funds, CHFA taxable bond funds, as well as opportunity funds. And you can see there the layout of what they are hoping it's going to look like once everything has been completed. Now, I know we're running short on time, so is there any questions for me?
I don't have any questions? Okay, thanks, Yezi. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
These were great reports.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, is there any other items that we need to cover? Are there? No? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks. I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Good seeing
See you
you.
Thursday.
Aye.
See you Thursday.
Thank you.
Okay.